Welcome to Built. My name's Chase. If you caught last week's episode, you know that we had planned on doing brakes this week. We had to change the plan a little bit because when I sat it down to start looking over everything, we realized that the oil pan's hitting the ground. It's the first thing that comes in contact. Luckily for us, Mast Performance reached out to us several months ago when we first started this build and offered to send us this awesome aluminum low pro oil pan. We've had to set it up. Shortly after we got the oil pan, the channel was hacked, and a lot of you guys know that, and y'all were with us through that and Instagram and saw everything that happened. Mast reached out to the community. They made posts on our behalf, and they brought awareness to what was going on with the automotive YouTube channels that had been hacked. It was kind of a group, and they were just great through the whole thing. They said, you know, hold on to the parts, get to them when you can, when you're back on your feet, and here we are. We're rolling again. The build's coming along, and it's time to put this thing on. So we're going to put the brakes on fixing the brakes and move over to this Mast Performance oil pan and at least do something temporary so that I can raise and lower it with the airbags. So I went and picked up an oil pan gasket and an oil filter. The truck oil filter sticks out past our new low profile pan. So I picked up an LS powered car oil filter. I don't know if that's the right thing to do or if that's the wrong way to handle this. If you've done swaps, you just know about LS swaps. Let me know if that's good to go or if I'm going to need to change that down the road. So first thing, we've got to empty all the old oil out and get rid of this oil filter. I'll go ahead and pull most of them out. I'm going to leave some at the end and this one at the front to hold the pan up until I'm ready to take it down. Make sure you keep up with your bolts. I try to keep them in order personally. Which may not matter for this. I think that all these will be replaced with the new hardware from Mast Performance. But if there are variants or variations throughout, at least I'll know where they go. Ooh, might not have broken that one loose. These are all the same. I've never pulled the pan off of an LS, so I don't know. And if you want to link some good information for me on torque specs and patterns for putting these back on, well, actually, now that I think of it, I will have already done that. No, never mind. Now we can see the difference between these two. It's pretty significant. So I believe that's going to get us cleared. I'll switch out those pickup tubes, get a little bit of cleanup done down there, and we should be back in business. Everything's kind of had a minute to drip dry, and I'm going to take this pickup tube out, get the new pickup tube in that matches our oil pan. This has an O-ring where it goes up in, so make sure when you take your old one off that O-ring comes with you. Because if it doesn't, and you try to stuff that other one in, you're probably gonna have a bad time with leaks. Or maybe, I guess that might cause problems with oil pressure. So it seems to be cleaned out. So I'll get a couple of rags and try to clean up around where this gasket goes. So this thing had a metal gasket with a rubber O-ring kind of setup. So we shouldn't have many problems with just cleaning this off. It's not set in place with RTV or anything. So I'm not going to be too invasive with this, and we'll keep an eye on it and make sure that it doesn't give us problems. I may get a razor blade down here anyway, just to be sure. That's some really fine sandpaper. I don't want to scar this up. It's 600, so we shouldn't have any issues. It just helps me get some of the more loose stuff off and see what actually needs to be scraped. Guys, if you know anything about these LS swaps, again, I've never had an LS oil pan off. I see a little spot of RTV in all four corners. I'm going to leave it alone. It's got a O-ring type band around this oil pan gasket. I'm going to leave that alone, and we'll clean all this off after this is installed, and I'll be able to see if there's any new leaks. But if there's any reason for me to try to gouge all that out and replace it, or if it needs to go away and not be in there at all, just let me know in the comments. There's also one bolt hole right here on this engine. It's a LM7 maybe, but it's just a 5.3 truck engine. There's one of these holes that isn't drilled and tapped. On the oil pan that came off of it, that hole is solid. There's no place to put a bolt through, but there's a hole in the gasket, and on the new oil pan, there's a hole to put a bolt through it. So I'm still going to run these two bolts like it was before, and we'll know whether or not it's leaking. But if I need to drill and tap that, let me know. I don't want problems down the road, but it's been holding since 2000, 2001 on this truck, so I don't know why it wouldn't hold now. I don't think there's enough residue on this front edge to do anything, but no better time than now. Right there. You know, it looks like a spot where a bolt would go. We've got all these bolt holes, but just that one spot. Sorry for the glare and everything. I'm laying under this truck. That one spot is not drilled and tapped, and again, it's not drilled out on the factory truck oil pan either. It is drilled out on the Mast Performance oil pan, so I don't know if different variants of LS blocks have that provision, or if I need to drill and tap that and have that extra spot. Just let me know in the comments if you know anything about that. Now we're ready to put in the new pickup, which we've got our new O-ring to go on here. I always find it's good to put a little bit of fresh oil on O-rings when you install them so they don't bind up. So this will go in like that. Get this screw back in place. And again, this is a piece from Mast Performance that came with the oil pan. And they sent new hardware for the oil pan, and they sent an O-ring for the pickup tube. And always remember, with anything that you're fastening, to look up the torque specs. Just do it. You're not smarter than the manual. So just do it. Just look up the torque specs. I'm not being a good example of that. I fall into the category of people that don't look it up for a lot of things. But I myself have ruined quite a few parts. And I know a lot of people who have. So I will look up the torque spec for this oil pan and the pattern, if it has one, of tightening it down. But I highly recommend that you do it on everything that you do. Alright, so I'm about to go put the new oil pan on. with this type of gasket, you do not use RTV. It just lays in place and you torque it down to whatever the manufacturer's specs are. I always like to take a second and make sure that they really line up well with all of my bolt holes. I've had a few of them that were kinked in shipping and whatnot. This seems to work really well. It looks like everything lines up. I personally like to take like 4 bolts or so with me. I'll probably put them something like that, and I'll go hang this thing up and get those 4 started, and then I'll just kind of finger tight those and look up through these holes with a little flashlight or something, make sure that I haven't, twisted this thing a little. Get all of them started, and then I'll go back through, get them all finger tight, and move through the manufacturer torque specifications. Let's keep moving. Another thing is to always make sure you keep your fasteners clean. I'm working in a really dirty spot down here. This truck's been sitting here for a long time. So I laid out a clean rag and put all my fasteners on it, so I'm not dragging these threads around in the dirt and the grit. So you don't want to get anything in here and damage threads. It's just no fun. Guys, this is officially by far the nicest thing on this truck. It is, in my opinion, way too nice to be on this truck. Maybe we can... Sorry, I'm moving you around so much. You can see the bottom of the bell housing. It's only about 3/4 of an inch different. It may look like more than that in the video, but it's not. This thing is super nice. So the truck oil pan is gone. The Mast performance unit is on, and this is the little hump. That's the first thing that touched the ground when I tried to set the truck down the other day, and it just was not going to work. So now, let's set this thing down again, and hopefully this time, nothing bad hits the ground. Alright guys, let's find out together. Let's make an adjustment. Weigh it down. Alright, a fast adjustment apparently. I'm gonna put that block out. Alright. Alright, nice and slow this time. We're clear. Whew, that is close. So this is the Datsun. It is off of its stands. No jacks. So the Datsun is on the ground. This thing is so low. I love seeing it like this. Another huge thanks to Mast Performance for sending that oil pan. It literally wouldn't be possible to set this on the ground with the LS swap in it without that oil pan. So thank you guys, and go to their Instagram page. If you follow this build and you follow Built, you like this channel, go let them know that you saw their product here. Go give them some support for supporting us and supporting this Datsun build. Comment on their most recent Instagram post. Just do what you can. And again, if you have LS swap needs, go check them out. They have a really awesome product. It went together like super smooth. No issues at all. I didn't have to modify anything to get it to go in. So now that we have it on the ground, we need to be able to pick it back up to do the brakes. We haven't picked a permanent solution for our control manifold and everything that's going to go into this airbag system. So for now, I just grabbed these. They're just little shredder valves. They're the first cheap thing I saw online to buy. They just push fit onto these little 3/8 tubes. I might be able to pull one out. Oh. They'll just push fit on, and I'll be able to put air in and lift the truck and lower it. So let's fit these up and see how they work. So I actually keep looking over all the pieces we took out of this truck, and I think I have enough stuff laying around that I can hook up the front and back each to one of these switches to raise and lower. Have that to dump, and then I think I can thread in a connector here to just run the airline over from the compressor, plug it up, and raise and lower this with that tank. I had it in my head that this was going to be this size. It is not. I do still think that I'll be able to get an adapter and make this work. I assume that I'm going to get a lot of leaks out of all this push to connect crap, but it's here, it's available. So I'll try it. If I have to be under the truck, I'll throw some jack stands under there or something. So maybe the worst time for me to have ever lost my air chuck. I saw it. I know I saw it. I'm gonna find it. I almost went to the store and bought one, but I found it. So this is about as basic as an airbag system can be. All 4 bags into one with a shredder valve. Bags going up. I'm hoping that the front will go up after the back kind of reaches its max, so I don't have any way to split the pressure. So that's it for this week, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching to the end of these videos. It makes a huge difference. Again, if you need any LS swap parts, go check out Mast Performance. They have awesome products. Check them out on Instagram. Give them a shout out for us. If you haven't hit the join button yet, hit that. It's only 99 cents a month. It brings so much stability to the channel. It helps us across every front with our families, with our builds, with content quality, content consistency, everything. So if you haven't joined, join. If it's not the right time for you, just watch these videos. It makes all the difference in the world. So we'll see you next week. Hey Chase, what's the secret word of the week? How about flare? Flare is the secret word. Put it in the comments, put in a cool sentence, disguise it so nobody knows what's going on, and we'll see you next week.